Alrighty, guys. It is 3:30 this Thursday, December 11th, and it's time to wrap it up. And we have had a freaking roller coaster of a day, haven't we? So we started off this morning, given the overnight. Yesterday's close, given the Fed number, was pretty good. It closed strong. The overnight was a complete disaster. They ran a whole freaking gambit all the way down here, reversed at the lows, the retracing back up again. We started kind of in the middle of the range. And we said this is just going to start off and look for a range-bound trading day. If they start taking out the highs here at 69.10, we may lean long. If they start taking out the lows here at the 6,800s, we are probably going to lean short. But and it felt pretty scary this morning for sure when they started running this lower from the highs. They started really hammering it, and we were in for a pretty good move back and forth. And it turns out that we ended up with a range bound day. Right now, we're up at the upper levels, flirting with the highs. And if they can take out the highs now, the 69, man, we may see a little rally beginning here. Maybe we're done with that tax planning stuff and we see a little bit of action on the upside. So my concern today was really that the market would sell off based on digesting the Fed announcement. But so far, it has not. It's nothing is said that was really kind of controversial in a big way. I'm trading so far, and the same thing with the Nasdaq. By the way, you can see Nasdaq's Nasdaq's F2 here is was all the way down here to the low end at the 380s. They tested the overnight lows before they actually started reversing it, and so that was pretty gnarly. This morning I was in a few trades on the ES. I didn't trade ES until a little bit later. I tried a long trade against that little tab on the pullback. That didn't work. Got me stopped out. I tried a short trade, got a little bit of money back on that one. Tried another long trade here on the looking for a move higher, and that was kind of a sloppy trade. Ended up with having to try to repair it, and then just got stopped out. I didn't try to make it bigger. It stopped me out. If I had to make it a little bit bigger, I probably could have scratched it, but you never know if you're going to get a shot at that or not. So I was down like 43, $44 on that thing. I had one more nice, decent trade here a little bit later, and long trade from when it started breaking out and got out of this at the initial balance high. It gave me some bucks back on that one. And that's about it. That's all I did on the ES. I'm down $13 right now on the ES on 5-round turns. On the Nasdaq, 23 round turns. I did trade up a little bit of a storm on the in the beginning here. On the way down, I was looking for a long opportunity. I'm thinking range bound, right? And it started knocking us down. So I was looking to get long against these support areas on the way down. But the problem was I just getting run over like 3 levels down. You see the B period. They started up here at the 630s. Yeah, the 600s, and they took it all the way down to the 390s. And that was just a couple of times I got run over and it just didn't work out at all. So I was down in the morning like $160 on the Nasdaq, and then I made it all back today. I'm down 20 right now. I tried one more trade here later on here, a long trade, and I had to repair it, and I kind of got shaken out of that trade. It took it a little bit higher. I was trying to get back to zero basically, but so that was that last trade. I kind of missed the whole thing. I took a trade over here. You see that little move up here that gave me some money back. So I had a couple of nice trades when the market calmed down a little bit, and I stopped. I kind of being too cute about the trading. So I got some of this money back, and then so I'm down 20 on the ES on 20 on the Nasdaq on the 23 round turns. That's kind of good for now. But overall, I had a bond trade as well. I'll show you that in a second here. But overall, the market is range bound, and I would start off range bound again, um, going into the overnight. Watch the same levels, the 69.10 here on the upside, the 60 on the downside. We want to look for the 68.20s, 68.10s, these two support areas. And I would just trade it range bound. Now, I'm going to get modestly optimistic, like we may be able to take out the highs here at 69.10 and so potentially get a little bit higher. On the capital flow, you can see that we've been down here and we're up here against this upper area. Now, if they take it out, this is the third time they're up here. We may have a shot at running it up here and testing the highs. I heard several different commentators talking about making and testing the all-time highs before the end of the year. So it's only 2 weeks left or 3 weeks left. So I'm hoping they're going to be right. But anyway, so starting off at this point, given where we are, I'm going to start off with a bias to the upside. looking to buy against down to this against the 68.85 to 90 rotations back up. Below that level, I'm going to be as flat out range bound. So not a super strong bias to the upside, but the fact that we're trading up here, going to start with a slight bias to the upside and see how far they can take it. On the ES, on the Nasdaq, same story there. Starting with a slight bias to the upside. They're not quite up there where I want to be. You can see here from Friday's trading, they're not quite up here at the highs. They had to be up at the 860s. They're not quite that strong right now. So with the ES, I would start with a slight bias to the upside. Nasdaq, just a slight one. Watch that lower edge at the 640s. The trade below that one, I would just be back range bound. But Nasdaq looks a lot weaker than the ES. ES looks pretty strong. So that's how we get started. But I would say emphasize range bound trading, just a slight bias to the upside to get started, given that we have we are trading up here at the highs right now. That could obviously change before we end up closing. They can certainly run it right back down again. Maybe even doing that right now. So we'll see. But we have a couple of levels. So watch this level, the 68.85 to 90s on the ES, the 60 or the 25.640 on the Nasdaq. If they trade below those two, shift your bias on those two. And then finally on the bonds, I had one bond trade today. And as I said yesterday, a little bit more deliberate, not as aggressive, because you can't be that aggressive on the bonds. It just runs you over. So on the bond market, I was looking at this run up here, and this typical run up here, you get tempted of getting short, a little bit more aggressive. You had a couple of levels on the way up to get short against. I just skipped that and waited for that whole thing to start mellowing out. So when the two bars here started forming like this, a beautiful retest failure setup. I had a working order here at the 06s, got short. Had to fade a few ticks of heat, 3 ticks. I had my stop right. I want to take it higher, so I got a little bit lucky. It's like borderline. I don't like the 3-tick heat, but it's there's not much you can do about it. 4 ticks, I'm out. So there you go. But anyways, I sat in that for a bit, and I got a little bit of a pullback. I got out with the 4 ticks. I'm up $125 on the bonds, and then I didn't do anything after that. Now, the main reason is because I had a 30-year bond auction, and you see the reaction here after 1 o'clock. That was to the downside, but it could be either way. I mean, you never know how that bond reaction is going to be. It could be to the upside, it could be to the downside. You don't want to sit in a trade when that happens. So, not much going on here in the middle, and I just kind of let it sit there. But one trade on the bonds here, and that's maybe pretty much and a nice $125 trade. And as you can see, you had to be patient. Though I sat in that trade for. I see good. What is it from 9:30 till like 10? So like 35 minutes to get that. So it's one market doesn't move that quick. So you have to, and when it moves, it can move really quick. But it's normally you get stuck twisting for a while. You have to just be patient. And if you're a good trade location, you can just let it sit and develop, and see how that works out. But it's so that's kind of, so I'm up 125 there. And remember, the round turn fee on that $125 is like 350 or something. It's like really cheap. The bond market is super cheap to trade. Big tick size though. And you can trade at 10 years, half that, but it's bond market, the 30-year tend to move well. I think compared to the ES and Nasdaq here, we have like 23 round turns and you're like down 20. So but given where I was, I mean, I was down like $170 this morning on the Nasdaq, and I was down 45 on the ES. So I made some of it back. So given the bond market and the where I'm at right now, I'm in a pretty good spot. So net up for the day. I'll leave it at that. I'm not going to be cuter than that right now. But anyway, so that's how we get started. Now, news for tomorrow. We have nothing. There are a few speakers, but there's no news tomorrow. So it's going to be no news Friday, December 12th. And then we'll see how this market shakes out. But I'm modestly optimistic. Like we may see a little bit of strength developing here now. Maybe the Santa rally is going to start kicking in. Anyway, we'll leave it there for now, guys. So you guys have I think they have a micro bond, to be honest with you. But, I had to look at it. I think there may be something out there already on the micro bond, but I don't have it. There's something called an ultra bond as well, but it's just a different kind of composition, trade the same size. And I don't think necessarily you need to have a micro bond to trade it. I mean, it's on the bond, it ticks a lot. The tick size is big, but if you get short, if you get in at the good edge, you trade with a 4-tick stop, and if you're wrong, you lose $125. I mean, you can lose that pretty quick on the micros if you're wrong a couple of times. So it's you don't have to take more than one trade on the bonds, maybe two. So it's you can limit your risk exposure, but if you're right on the trade and the market moves in your favor, you'll be smiling. That's for sure. So anyway, so that's the bond. But so. But anyway, so we'll wrap it there for now, guys, and I'll see you back bright and early in the morning. So no use Friday. Thank God it's Friday, and as you know, Christmas is just around the corner. This is next week's gonna be the last week. Also, don't forget the tomorrow is the last day on the December expiration. On Monday, we're going to be trading the H21, the March expiration on the ES. All right. Anyway, guys, I'll see you back in the morning. There.